Hey guys, this is Tattoo Tony, and today we're exploring several abandoned homes in Alton, Illinois. Alton, Illinois is a very old Rust Belt town. I believe that it was starting to be planned or had a charter for the town in about 1813, so it's not quite as old as St. Louis, but at one point it rivaled St. Louis and was thought that it may become larger than St. Louis. So we're exploring some homes in neighborhoods that have seen quite a bit of decline. Now, um, there's been a big loss of jobs and tax base, and at one point there were just a tremendous amount of good jobs in industry, and there's not a lot of apartment buildings around. There's tons of neighborhoods full of old houses of all different sizes, and I'd say in this town that a new neighborhood would be a neighborhood that has homes that were built in the 50s. Here's a little letter we found inside this small house in a card. I thought I'd show it to you so you could maybe pause and read it. But these homes and neighborhoods were all built on industry. Right down the hill from the neighborhood where this house is sitting sat Laclede Steel. I believe they were founded or went public and were organized and offered on the stock exchange in about 1911. And they employed quite a few people right down the hill from this neighborhood. And if you can imagine it, Alton is along the Mississippi River. And so, right along the river, it's a little lower. And then when you go up into town in the neighborhood, you go up hills immediately. And then Alton is basically sitting in the high ground or on bluffs above the river valley. Right across from the steel mill, there was Owens, Illinois Glass Company. Now, they started out in Alton before 1900, I believe. At least maybe 1910. I may have the date wrong. But in any case, they were at one point the world's leading glass manufacturer, glass bottles. They may still be today. I believe they're still very large. But in any case, they employed several thousand people in town, and the company actually invented the machine that made glass bottles that put glass blowers out of business. Imagine before that you had to have somebody blow the glass to make the bottles. And then this company located in Alton invented a machine that made and manufactured glass bottles and jars. You can find out more information about that. There was also a box board company in Alton located right on the riverfront, and that company had the largest machine that made paperboard, I guess you would call it, in the whole world. And the next town over also had a company called Olin that was founded nearby, and Olin was founded definitely before the turn of the century, and they were making explosives and chemicals to make explosives for all the lime quarries in the area. And shortly after, probably right before the turn of the centuries, they started manufacturing cartridges and eventually bought the Winchester name, and all Winchester ammunition, at least 15 years ago, said made in East Alton, Illinois. They also had a brass division where they, rolled brass, I assume, to make the cartridges. This is a second house I went into, and you saw there was, I believe, a cribbage board sitting on a table. Looks like they were doing some kind of crafts or painting little figurines or something. Maybe you can go back and pause and read those little drawers. They looked like little cubbies for keeping things for a hobby. I headed up the steps in this home, entered through the basement in the back door, and there wasn't a ton of stuff in here. A couple interesting things, but I want you to really pay attention when I go back down into the basement, because interestingly, I found a box full of books on my way back out, and all the books were about witchcraft or the occult, different things related, and they looked like they were all library books. that were maybe borrowed and never returned from a library in Battle Creek, Michigan. So I'm not sure what the tie was or why the person that lived in this home had so many books about the occult and witchcraft, which is fine. I mean, I guess it's an interesting subject, but return your library books. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, if I'm trying to say anything at all. Um, but in any case, Andrew and I found a list of at least 160 homes that were slated to be demolished in 2020. I found that the whole list was not completed. Some have been, and him went to about 20 of them looking for them and seeing which ones we could enter, which ones were open, and trying to take pictures and film the rest of the ones we couldn't enter to capture them basically before they disappear, because there are just so many empty lots and empty spaces in this town where things used to stand, and a lot of them are overgrown to the point now that you never would have even known something stood there. And sometimes you'll also see curious sidewalks kind of going into brush, or pillars out on the street that are, mason or stone like pillars, kind of like an entryway to an estate or some kind of business. And I've always been curious as to what they belonged to or what was originally there. I've seen a lot of things disappear, a lot of really old buildings here disappear and get knocked down. And I guess I understand why they are raising and clearing some of them, because they're very close to other people's homes and they're just kind of falling down, and they're trying to improve housing stock. But I mean, I'm gonna miss them. And in fact, if you're one of my regular viewers, go over to Old and Fat Exploration and leave him like 500 comments and ask him when he's going to go out and help me find the rest of these and film them so that I can make some videos and try to preserve as many of these homes and landmarks before they disappear. I wanted to film literally everything around here that is sitting abandoned, dilapidated, every old storefront and sign and interesting old, old storefront from, the 20s, or a lot of cool, interesting, different things, a lot of buildings with character. But anyways, you ought to go get on his back and bother him and tell him that 2 weeks from now he needs to go out and help me film. He completely just blew me off today, and we're supposed to go out and capture more. So here's some books on numerology, runes, the occult. No, I didn't take them. They looked kind of interesting, but they're all sitting exactly where I found them. There's one of the library cards that shows that it was from a library in Battle Creek, Michigan. So I don't know if I mentioned this already, but the state's first penitentiary was in Alton, Illinois. It was shut down because of its deplorable conditions and then reopened as a Confederate prison. There was a famous abolitionist who had a printing press here. There's a monument to him. The world's tallest man in history ever recorded was born and raised here in Alton, Illinois. Miles Davis spent some of his life here. Lincoln and Douglas had a debate here, and this town is known as the most haunted small town in America. Now, one thing I notice in a lot of these houses that I explore is every last piece of metal or pipe or wire has been taken out of them. It's surprising when you find anything still left, because the old steel mill that used to be here, Laclede Steel, they did a lot with scrap metal and later reopened as Alton Steel, but there are big scrap yards down on the riverfront right here in town where they buy all kinds of scrap metal. And so generally there's a lot of these that I'd went in the past where every piece of electrical wire that somebody could get to was stripped out and sold. I thought this house was kind of interesting. I really liked the front of it. A lot of very small, nice old homes. There's some really big ones too, but there's a lot of neighborhoods that must have been built for steel workers, people that worked at the boxboard company, um, the glass factory. Uh, there's a lot of old storefronts here too, just all over the place. Little candy stores, little markets, little meat markets, just all kinds of places to serve all the community. And for those of you who may tell me, hey, Tony, this isn't part of the Rust Belt, it actually is. I knew that, hey, this might as well be a Rust Belt town with all the industry was here, and the way that this town looks and the decline and some of the socioeconomic problems. But I looked up a map of the Rust Belt, and this area is included in it. This whole part of Illinois, the Metro East, on the other side of St. Louis, just had a ton of industry here. It includes East St. Louis, Granite City, which is named for granite ware, the people that invented granite ware in the process to coat the metal. Founded, I guess, or built Granite City. There were steel mills, oil refineries, manufacturing, and cattle stockyards and meat processing all along this east side. And so while this is a smaller town, it's, much like any other larger Rust Belt town in its look and feel and type of people that were here. I would really like to look in this home. I'm not sure, maybe somebody could tell me how old this is. You see the kind of shingle siding on the house. I really like the front door. There's a lot of good parts left over on some of these homes that could be used elsewhere. This is another home. We weren't able to enter this one. We're going to take a peek in the basement. Some of these are boarded and locked up, and in a manner and fashion they weren't at one point. So there was a lot of these I used to be able to get into. Hope you enjoyed this video, and probably have more audio next time. In this video, I did want to test out this new microphone I got, so you guys let me know how the narration sounds as far as quality. How did it sound on your device or phone? If you're new to the channel and you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, share. Make sure you turn on the notifications. The last photograph or two are a teaser. Here it is. It's a teaser for the next house that we went in and explored on the same day that we explored this one. So again, like, subscribe, share, turn on the notification bell, and don't miss any videos. Thank you for watching.